This video is on spiritual gifts. It's chapter 5 from the Management for Church Leaders Training Manual. We're now into the second section of the manual, which is on managing people. And the first thing we need to know is, how did God gift each individual person that's in the church? Scripture comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 7 and 11, which tells us that everyone is gifted by God. So it's important for us to understand how people are gifted in order for the leader to know how to use those people in ministry and how to direct them into roles in the church that they can be effective. So the first thing we want to do is discuss what spiritual gifts are. There's many people out there that think that spiritual gifts are only charismatic type gifts. But basically, we talk about the three types of gifts: ministry, practical, and charismatic. And we also mention the specific 21 gifts that are mentioned in the New Testament, mostly by Paul and many of his writings. So I quickly tell them these are what spiritual gifts are before we give them the spiritual gift assessment. After discussing what spiritual gifts are, we now talk about why they're important. And of course, we give some different examples, and we talk about how these spiritual gifts should be applied and used in the church. The main part of this chapter is to do the spiritual gift assessment. It's a fairly long test, and it could take up to an hour to complete. There are 110 questions that they need to answer. Then they need to transfer those answers to a score sheet to determine what their highest gifts are. So you want to make sure you leave enough time to do this. This is the reason for this chapter, is to do the spiritual gift assessment so each participant can not only learn what their spiritual gifts are, but they can then take this test and give it to others in their church. Once they have all completed the spiritual gift assessment, you want to highlight what some of the gifts are that are in the room of participants. For example, you can ask, how many people have the gift of pastor? How many have the gift of serving? How many have the gift of mercy? And what you want to demonstrate is that all the participants in the room all have different gifts. And so this is a very effective way to help them understand why spiritual gifts are important and how God has gifted everyone individually, that when they bring those gifts together, they can be more effective in ministry.